Hello, everyone. I'm coming on today with a special message because of things that are happening. We've talked a lot about shifts, changes, and we're in it. Things are changing. I know you all feel it. There's a new air about things. Life is happening. There's movement. For some, it's slower than others, but there's movement. And the world feels different, right? People feel different. Even ourselves, us, we feel different about the world and how we see things, how we see people. There are people and things and situations that used to be a priority that are now almost non-existent or doesn't even come to the mind anymore. So the shifts are happening. And I'm coming on today specifically to talk to those of you who are parents, number one, but not only parents. If you are an uncle or an auntie, a grandparent, if you are someone who works with children, okay, this message is for you because it's time to start listening to the young ones. We need to allow them to have a voice. As adults, sometimes we feel we know better than them. And what they say really is not important, or they don't have enough experience, or they don't have enough understanding as we do, since we have lived and we know better. And most of the time, we are correct. But at the same time, children, they need a space to speak and to be heard. And I'm not talking about, I heard you, but this is what you have to do anyway because I'm the adult. That is not listening to your child. That is not listening to the young one. They need to be heard and understood fully. Because what I'm seeing is a lot of the issues, even us as adults, when we get older, that we deal with, it's because we weren't heard. It's because we were not heard when we were young. It's because we did not have a safe space to speak and to be heard and listened to fully. So it's like we have been conditioned to not have a voice and to allow other people to make decisions for us, and like we have no say-so in our life. And if you look at society today, most people are fighting for control. Most people are just trying to get a handle on their life. And this is stemming from when we were young. We were never able to actually have a say-so. And when we ask why, it's considered disrespectful. It's considered not knowing your place as a child. And some people have continued this type of tradition with their children. And hey, for some of you, if it works, it works. Okay, you're going to know if this is yours. You're going to know what parts of this to take. You're going to know what parts not to take. Okay, because yes, sometimes you have to put your foot down and be firm. Necessary, absolutely, especially with certain type of children, right? I'm talking about those children who have new ideas. They want to do things a different way. Or maybe they just don't see life the way you see it. Because we can learn from our young ones. And I'm seeing that there's a lot of children. They have a lot of energy within them that needs to be expressed. They have no place to express it. Okay. I recently shared that I have been working with children. So I have been working hands-on with children. As a teacher, I decided to do this. Number one, it was time to get back out in the real world. Since 2020, I've mainly been interacting with people online and not face-to-face. So I wanted to get back out there and start to integrate the things that I've been working on within myself and to see if I'm actually able to apply a lot of the things that I talk about, right? So it's really getting back in the world. and allowing myself to be who I say that I am, right? Or who I know that I am deep down. And it's been quite an experience, but something happened yesterday, and it really, it shook the whole neighborhood. I mean, it shook the whole state. It's actually something that's affecting many families. And there was a child that was fatally injured yesterday in the facility that I worked at. And the injury was from one child to the other. Both are minors, 14 years old. And it's an ongoing altercation that they've had. And it resulted in one of them bringing a weapon. And it ended the other's life. And this really shook the community. And there's a lot of changes that need to be implemented. And I'm going to say, adults, we have to take this. We're going to have to eat this one. It's a reflection of what we're teaching the children, or how much we're allowing the children to express, and how much we're listening to their concerns. This is a reflection of what's going on with us directly, how we affect the children. Because apparently this young lady had a lot to express and it was not being heard. And this is not about blaming us, but we have to understand, when our children come to us to talk to us, you really need to consider what they're saying seriously. It's not about having the answers. It's about being heard. It's not about being right? It's not about, oh, I'm the adult, I know better. It's about that child being heard and feeling like their words matter, their feelings matter. Because as I started working with these kids, I noticed they're not used to people listening to them. They're not. They're just used to taking orders. And there's a difference from being raised and being trained. And when you train a child, all you're doing is conditioning them to follow orders and to not understand that they have an authority over themselves as well. And I don't think it's an effective model. I know some of you will feel like that's the best way to do it. They don't know any better. But you know what? That's coming from some kind of trauma that you need to heal, because you weren't heard and you weren't allowed to express. So you need control of yourself and of your children. And many people see parenting as, I'm in charge and what I say goes and what you say doesn't matter. And most of the children that I work with, I'm seeing they come from that kind of household. And many of them, their parents have military backgrounds, so I get it. I understand where it's coming from. But there's a cost when this is the way that we train our children. When you're raising your children, you are teaching them how to live and be in this world, how to deal with challenges, how to face issues head on, how to talk it out, how to logically and critically think it out, how to express, how to be effective in making changes in your own life, how to take action in a confident way. There is a formula to life, and it's not just following directions. Life is not about checking with this institution and that department and this legal authority and that boss to see what I can do and what I can't do. But that is the model that I'm seeing many people implement. Life is about paying attention to my needs, in what I feel and determining whether this aligns with me or if it doesn't, right? Teaching your child how to discern whether a situation is good for them or not, that's important. That is a life skill. And that is something many people don't have because they've been taught to just yes or no, yes or no. I said so. That's why you need to do it. That's not an effective way to raise an adult. We're raising children, and that's why many of us, when we deal with people who are adults, their emotional maturity is like a child. Don't know how to deal with stress, don't know how to talk about the hard topics, don't know how to talk things out. It's always some type of screaming or yelling debate. Don't even know how to tap into what they're truly feeling, don't know how to express themselves, don't know how to deal with high pressure situations. It's a very, very important trait that is not being developed, and I'm seeing it in the children, and that's why we have so much violence, because it builds up and it builds up and it builds up and it becomes rage, and when it comes out, it explodes. And at that point, it's too late. And it's so sad. So if your child comes to you, I heard someone explain it. If your child comes to you, and he explained it like this, and your child says, I want to dye my hair blue. As a parent, most parents would be like, no, that's crazy. You're not dyeing your hair blue. Are you crazy? That's not happening. I don't care. Right? But why don't you sit and talk to your child? Right? He said, why don't you try to find out why your child wants to dye their hair blue? And if you sit and talk and, okay, you want to dye your hair blue? Tell me about it. Why is that? Well, blue is in and I like it. And then they might show you some pictures of people with blue hair, and they might show you different styles, and they might even tell you it's creative expression. It's a form of art. Talk to your child. See why. Oh, okay, so you're saying you want to do it because it looks cool and other people are doing it and you like the style, and so you want to see what it feels like and you want to try it out on you. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to try it out. Others are doing it. Okay, now you're on another topic. Okay, so you want to do what other people are doing. You want to fit in. Okay, now y'all getting to the meat and potatoes of the conversation. Why is it important for you to fit in? Why do you, talk about that? Because that's the actual issue. The child wants to be a part of something. Okay, they want to be in some kind of community. They want to feel like they belong. Okay, maybe you want to start exploring extracurricular activities with them. What do you like to do? I like to paint. I like to express myself. Let your child be free with their energy from a young age. Give them that tool of having authority over their life and making decisions of what they want to do for themselves based on what they like and what they feel. Don't shut them out and say, no, you're not getting blue hair. How about you explore why your child wants that blue hair? If your child says something like, hey, I don't want to get married, or I don't want to have children, don't just force your belief on them. Oh, that's the fabric of life. Oh, I need grandbabies. No, talk to them about why. And you might be surprised. Your child is very intelligent. They're looking around and seeing the world and like, hey, I don't want to bring a child into this world. Well, why not? Well, I see this and I see that. And they might even get deeper. What I went through, I don't want another child to go through that. Yeah, that might trigger you. Listen to your children. Let your children express themselves. Give them a safe space to talk. A lot is being built up in these young children. I can see it in their eyes. There's a lot of pain there. And I remember when I started working with them, I would come home and I would feel like, woo, that was a day. My energy was pulled on all day. But I wanted to go back. And eventually I realized the issue is these children just need a safe space where someone will talk to them And there's this trend I'm seeing. Every time I call a student, I'm like, hey, come here. I'm like, what did I do? Hey, you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. I just need you to come here for a second. Come here. Give me a chance. Let me talk to you. You're not in trouble. I need your help. I called you because I want you to help me with something. Is that okay? Like, oh, okay, I thought I did something. Yes, because they're being taught that the only time they're called upon is when they're in trouble, is to correct them. These children are not receiving empathy. They're not receiving compassion. It's actually a missing quality. As I'm interacting with these kids, the bullying is crazy. And I know a lot of online presence has a lot to do with this. They're being desensitized with feelings and emotions. And you see it in comment sections. You know, the rudest comments are probably coming from the youngest kids. And they think that's the real world. You know, video games is desensitizing them from dealing with actual problems. They think just killing someone in a game and, you know, how many, I don't know, KDs and, you know, all of this rankings is, it's an issue. Social interaction is lacking. The ability to hear people, understand them, or at least try to understand and have compassion. I mean, I see it in adults, but interacting with kids, I'm starting to understand why they're like that. I'm starting to understand why adults are like that. Because the adults I deal with, they mirror these children. Except the children, they're in the right bodysuit to match the emotion. So it makes sense when I see it in children. But when I see it in adults, I'm like, wow, okay. It's harder to change when you're an adult. And that's where narcissism comes from. Because once you become an adult, you feel like you have the right to be that way and no one's going to, like, who's going to check me, right? Who got something to say? And what you going to do about it? That's where the narcissism is coming from. And we are raising narcissistic children. And it's coming from the traditions that's being passed down where they're not given a voice. They're told their feelings don't matter and that they need to just follow. Listen, guys, this is a real issue. If you have young ones around you, listen to them. You can learn a few things. I learn from my children every day. I learn from them every day. And I notice how comfortable they feel just telling me things. They tell me things that other people are like, wow, your child told you that? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, we talk about their relationships that they're in, their friendships. They're being given a safe space to talk. And sometimes they just talk. I mean, even my boys, they're now young men. They'll come get my cards and be like, Mom, can you do me a reading? And I feel very, very good about this for them. But I also know they're going into a cruel world. Okay, I was interrupted for a second, but to continue on, basically, the young ones, they need a voice. It starts when they're young. And if you have little ones, you want to listen to them. Allow them to express themselves. Allow them to talk to you. And I've noticed how that helps them develop into a more fully rounded individual. They're actually more prepared for the world. They're ready to tackle things that most adults are not able to tackle. A safe space to express is so important from a young age. So if we are healing generational curses, if we are healing things that were passed down to us from the adults in our life, from our loved ones, our parents, from our guardians, we have to be the ones to start the change. We have to be the ones that are ready to implement the change. And sometimes it's easier said than done. But you will see, as you allow the young ones to just fully express without fear of condemnation, without fear of some type of discipline or some type of reaction that's going to get them in trouble or cause things to be limited for them, right? They need a safe space. And this means even if you disagree, that you don't start saying, you know what, that's why I'm not giving you this, or that's why I don't allow you to do this. Or, no, allow them to speak without always needing to be in control of what happens to them, right? Needing to be an authoritarian over their life, needing to have the last say so. That's a trauma response. So when we're healing, we need to heal all around. All around. Believe me, even myself, I find out I have a lot of work to do. Because at the crux of the issue here is needing control and the fear of what will happen if you don't have control. Allowing them to make choices when they're young and seeing the consequences of their choices, right? Hey, I told you to do the dishes. Yeah, it's your choice to do the dishes or not. But here are the consequences when you don't follow those rules. You chose not to do the dishes when I told you. This is what happens. That was your choice that led you here. I told you 3 times to do the dishes. The first time I was nice about it. Second time I was a little bit upset, but okay, I gave you a chance. Third time, this is the consequence. No game, no going out, no money this weekend to hang out with your friends, and you're not going to the movies anymore. All from your choice to not do what you know you had to do. This is your responsibility. You eat in this house. You have chores. Everybody else does their part. That's your part. You didn't do it. This is the consequence. This gives them more power over their life. As they get older, they understand, okay, if I choose not to do this, this may be the result. Because another thing I'm noticing with children is they're not able to see the consequences of their actions. And what happened with the young ladies, where the girl stabbed the other girl. She stabbed her. And the girl bled out. In the school. The school is a crime scene. This is a cry for help. This is a cry for help. There's a lot of rage built up there. Who knows how much time she was expressing, this girl is doing this to me. This girl, they had a fight last week. Apparently something or someone's not being heard, but they're listening now. We had to cancel school for the whole week, for the rest of the week. And the kids have spring break. So the kids are not going to be in school for 2 weeks, which is actually a good amount of time for a lot of people to do some reflection. But things that are not being expressed, it goes somewhere. And these young ones, especially the ones that are coming from preteen and moving into adolescence, there is a fight for control there. I noticed that. The ones in middle school or junior high school, they're the most, I'm going to say, unhinged, unruly. But that's because this is when they're trying to fight for control. And if it's really imbalanced and nothing is getting through and nothing they say is being heard, they're going to crash out. Listen to your children. Give them a safe space to speak. It starts somewhere, and it starts at home, y'all. Okay? I'm going to leave it there. I have been uploading dailies. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, dailies come out. So you can either follow me on Patreon or become a member here on YouTube. But I have to tell you, the messages are coming out different. They're coming out different. I have started sharing shorts again to kind of give you guys a little snippet. But I feel like these are very important messages. Many of you, I feel like you can benefit from these messages. So if you feel led to, I highly recommend that you follow for the dailies. These messages are coming from a different place. Okay? So thank you all for listening. I love y'all. I appreciate all of you, and I'm very grateful to have found a community where I feel safe enough to speak. And just know you all help me. Just as much as you feel I help you, you guys help me. Okay, I listen to y'all comments. Even the ones that would trigger a response from me, believe me, I take it. I take it in. And yeah. On this journey, we meet people that help us in every way of our life. So just when you're interacting with people, be conscientious of the staple, the stamp that you are putting in their life, because each one affects another. And while you're on the journey, just try to make sure the effect you have on someone is a positive one, right? Okay. I'll leave it there. You all be safe, and I'll talk to y'all soon.